Prime Video's war drama miniseries, The Narrow Road to the Deep North, follows a fictional protagonist, Dorigo Evans, over the course of various time periods in his life, but the series does have some very real inspirations. The Narrow Road to the Deep North stars Jacob Elordi as its main character Dorigo, with Ciarán Hinds portraying Dorigo in later years. The new series is one of Jacob Elordi's best roles to date, as he carefully depicts the incredibly difficult experiences of prisoners of war during World War II. The series covers different time periods: before the war when Dorigo meets and has an affair with his uncle's wife, during the war when Dorigo is forced to work on the Burma-Thailand Railroad, and years later when Dorigo is a respected surgeon. The Narrow Road to the Deep North received a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score and has drawn parallels to other great World War II dramas like The Bridge on the River Kwai. While the characters that appear throughout the series and their particular stories are fictional, the circumstances that many of them encounter were actually inspired by real events. The Narrow Road to the Deep North story is partially inspired by Edward "Weary" Dunlop's real life. The real war hero served as inspiration for Dorigo. Jacob Elordi in The Narrow Road to the Deep North. The Narrow Road to the Deep North was based on the 2013 book of the same name written by Richard Flanagan. The book has several noted inspirations and real details, but one of the biggest inspirations for the book and new miniseries was the real historical figure, Edward "Weary" Dunlop, via The Guardian. Dunlop was born in Wangaratta, Victoria, Australia in 1907 and studied medicine while in college. In the 1930s, Dunlop enlisted with the Australian Army and served as a surgeon in the Medical Corps. During World War II, when a significant portion of the miniseries takes place, Weary Dunlop first served as the head of a mobile surgical unit. He was initially stationed in Tobruk, Libya before being called back to Java, Indonesia. While in Java, much like Dorigo in the World War II TV show, Weary Dunlop and his medical unit were captured by Japanese forces. Likewise, Weary Dunlop was also sent to prisoner of war camps and was made to command Australian soldiers while building the notoriously deadly Burma-Thailand Railway. Similar to Dorigo Evans' prisoner of war story in The Narrow Road to the Deep North, Weary Dunlop was a crucial component to the survival of some of his men during a horrific time. Approximately 12,000 Allied soldiers died during the construction of the railroad, as well as around 90,000 Southeast Asian civilians. Those working on the railroad endured terrible conditions, both because of the treatment by their captors and due to various illnesses and diseases. Weary Dunlop is remembered for his bravery and leadership during this time and for helping many Australian soldiers survive. Dunlop himself also survived the ordeal and lived until 1993, passing away at the age of 85. Following the end of the war and his return to Australia, he was heralded as a hero and received numerous honours, including Officer of the Order of the British Empire, Knight Bachelor, Companion of the Order of Australia, and more. Like Ciarán Hinds' older Dorigo in the series, Dunlop remained a surgeon after leaving active military service in 1946, via Britannica. The Narrow Road to the Deep North is also inspired by author Richard Flanagan's father. The novel was also inspired by the author's father's war experiences. Along with being inspired by the life of Edward "Weary" Dunlop, The Narrow Road to the Deep North was also based on the life of author Richard Flanagan's father. In a column for the Sydney Morning Herald, Flanagan shared that the book was a way of both learning about his father and creating something new from the tragedy. While the book and, by extension, the series are not an exact retelling of his father's experiences, Flanagan's personal connection to the Burma-Thailand Railroad allowed him to recreate some of the experiences of those who worked on it truthfully. Flanagan shared in his piece for the Herald that his father was one of Dunlop's 1,000 who lived and died on the Death Railway, already connecting him intimately with the book's other source of inspiration. Beyond just the events that happened to Dorigo in the novel, Flanagan also stated that his father was a survivor of cholera, of the hell ships that took POWs to Japan, of being a slave laborer in a coal mine under the inland sea. Flanagan's father's story is very harrowing and difficult to digest, but it is also one of great importance. In addition to his father's personal experiences and those details that Flanagan used to give the book its realism, he also discussed another story that inspired him. The story was about a Latvian man his parents knew whose wife died in the war. He moved away and eventually remarried, but years later he saw her in the street in another city, forcing him to consider whether to speak to her. This real-life account helped Flanagan center Dorigo's story in the book and acclaimed Prime Video series as one of love that compels him forward, despite all the complications that arise. The real historical events in The Narrow Road to the Deep North explained. The series is grounded in historical events. While the character of Dorigo Evans is, at least partially, fictional, many of the events that occur in the miniseries did actually occur during World War II. The book and series are necessarily grounded in history to help give viewers the real context of what events led Dorigo to the prisoner of war camp. One of the real events shown in the series that did occur in real life was the Battle of Java. The Battle of Java took place in February and March 1942 and saw the Japanese gain a victory over the Allied forces, including Weary Dunlop's medical unit. While the Battle of Java serves as an important marker to explain how Dorigo and his men were captured by the Japanese, the other big historical event that is outlined by the series is the building of the Burma-Thailand Railroad itself. The Death Railway, as it is sometimes called, is a horrifying aspect of the Pacific theater of World War II, but it is often overlooked in studies of the war. As depicted in the narrow road to the deep north, the Japanese army used forced labor to build the railroad, committing some of the atrocities seen in the series.